Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Commander Natasha Burney. We welcome the veterans who have served, those who are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. If able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's first World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Menaham Mirmovitch. Menaham Mirmovitch was born on the 22nd of January 1915 in Margot, Cyprus, the son of Yakaskel and Heyamoya Mirmovitch. A group of Jewish families from Russia had established an agricultural community in Margot. The group had little experience, but their undertaking was funded, farmland was purchased, houses and farm buildings built for the settlers, seed and livestock purchased, and a school, synagogue, bakery and mill established. Menaham Mirmovitch's family were most likely recruited from an agricultural school on the outskirts of Yafor on the coast of Palestine. The Mirmovitches were part of a new group that joined older families and established more successful farming practices, briefly reinvigorating the Cyprus commune. However, after a brief respite during the First World War, most of the settlers there moved to the British Protectorate of Palestine. Here, Menaham Mirmovitch became a successful soccer player, playing in the first official Jewish sports federation of Maccabi Tel Aviv. In 1938, he competed against the Greek national team. The players were mostly from the powerful Maccabi Tel Aviv club side, with a few from other teams included to create a Palestine banner under which to play. In June 1939, Mirmovitch came to Australia as part of the same team to compete in a test series of soccer matches. Before leaving for Australia, the touring party laid a wreath at the Australian War Memorial in Jerusalem, opposite the entrance gates of the British War Cemetery at Mount Scopus, in memory of fallen Australian soldiers. In Australia, they played games against state sides and regional sides, as well as 5 tests against the Australian national team, winning 1, drawing 1, and losing 3. The trip was rough, and the team sometimes had to sleep on luggage racks between matches, as they had been limited to travelling with second-class train tickets. While some of the press coverage of the matches was negative, Mirmovitch and 2 other players, Avraham Bit Halevi and Avraham Riznik, received offers to play for local clubs and elected to remain in Australia. Mirmovitch settled in Western Australia, where he enlisted in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force on the 9th of February 1942, shortly before his 27th birthday. During his first few months of service, he had a reaction to an inoculation for which he was admitted to hospital and was subsequently transferred around reinforcement forces for various battalions. He was appointed Lance Corporal in August 1942, but after he was found absent without leave and illegally using an army vehicle in late December, he was reverted to private. A year later, still in Western Australia, Mirmovitch was again found absent without leave. In late September 1943, he began jungle warfare training. In February the following year, he was taken on strength of the 2nd 11th Battalion, which had been assisting in the defence of Western Australia, but returned to northern Queensland in July 1943. The 2nd 11th landed at Aitarpe in New Guinea on the 13th of November 1944 to undertake its only campaign against the Japanese. Patrolling, often arduous in nature, constituted most of its operations. While operating east of the Danmap River, Mirmovitch was taken ill with fever. A week later, after having his illness identified as dengue, he returned to his unit. On the 12th of May, the 2nd 11th Battalion was fighting for control of a piece of ground known as Feature 620. A Japanese position that held up their advance had been shelled by artillery that morning, but proved difficult to dislodge. Mirmovitch's company was ordered to patrol and try to make contact with the 2nd 4th Battalion for assistance. During the patrol, Mirmovitch was killed by a sniper. His remains were later buried in the Lae War Cemetery, where they lie today, under the epitaph, "The beauty of Israel is slain upon the high plains, Zion." Menaham Mirmovitch was 30 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour to my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Menaham Mirmovitch, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you all for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.